Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're doing a deep dive into a really profound piece of philosophy, and it's going to completely flip the script on how you think about happiness. You know, we spend so much time talking about what happens to us in life, but today we're looking at a text that basically demands we take active, unyielding control over our own joy. It's a bold proposition, for sure. The idea here is that bliss isn't just some lucky byproduct of having a good day. It is an active, conscious decision. I'm so eager to guide you through this because the way this author breaks down the actual mechanics of happiness and, well, societal conditioning is truly unconventional. We're going to unpack this short but super dense text together. And honestly, by the end of this explainer, you might just view your own laughter in an entirely new light.
Okay, let's dive into this. Is bliss a choice? I mean, take a second and really think about how you operate on a daily basis. For most of us, the gut reaction is no. We just kind of assume happiness is a passive reaction to whatever's going on around us. We think, oh, if I get that promotion, I'll be happy, or if the weather's nice this weekend, I'll be joyful, right? But the source text we're analyzing today kicks off with a massive departure from that passive mindset. It hits us right out of the gate with this. First, to be blissful, you have to decide that you will be blissful. The author is arguing that without making that willing decision right up front, bliss is literally impossible. It's not something you just stumble into on a Tuesday. It's a destination you've got to intentionally map out.
And there is a very specific reason why this decision has to be so intentional. According to the text, if you don't decide willingly, you simply won't make it to bliss. Why? Well, because, as the author states, there are exactly 1,001 things and reasons not to be blissful. Just let that sink in for a second. 1,001. And these can be anything, right? From a huge major life setback all the way down to just hitting every single red light on your commute, or, I don't know, burning your morning toast. This is the author's way of really highlighting the sheer volume of obstacles out there. The deck is overwhelmingly stacked against your joy. Everyday life is just packed with frictions, disappointments, stresses, and a seemingly endless list of completely valid, logical reasons to be miserable. If you just leave your emotional state on autopilot, the sheer gravity of those 1,001 negative things is going to pull you down. Every single time.
But the text doesn't just stop at the everyday frictions of life. It takes a really fascinating turn into how other people react to your emotional state. It asks us to picture a scenario where you are happy. You've somehow beaten the 1,001 odds. You're laughing, and you're visibly enjoying life out in the open. What happens then? Does society throw a party and celebrate with you? The author argues absolutely not. The text sets up this central conflict between your individual joy and the surrounding society, pointing out that society people will see your public happiness and they'll react to it in a very specific, almost hostile kind of way. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the exact phrasing the author uses. When society sees you laughing and genuinely enjoying yourself, they look at you as if you're making a great mistake. I mean, think about the weight of those words. Not an annoyance, not a minor faux pas, a massive, glaring error. The text even capitalizes this concept to make sure we don't miss how important it is. Your personal joy is viewed as fundamentally incorrect by the people around you. It's like, by being blissful, you're breaking this unspoken rule of the community. You are doing something profoundly wrong in the eyes of society simply by being happy. Crazy, right? So, why on earth would your joy be viewed as a mistake? Well, the author provides this deeply psychological explanation for the backlash, and it really comes down to a fundamental intolerance bred by misery. The source text explains it like this: because if you are not happy, then you cannot tolerate anybody else's happiness. It paints a stark, honestly kind of somber picture of human interaction. The people reacting negatively to your laughter, they aren't doing it because your laughter is objectively bad. They're doing it because they, themselves, are not happy. The text suggests that unhappiness basically creates a closed loop, a state of mind that absolutely rejects and resents the presence of joy in anyone else. Your bliss holds up a mirror to their lack of bliss, and the friction from that makes your joy completely intolerable to them. And this brilliantly illustrates the hidden architecture of society that the text is trying to expose. On one side, we've got individual joy, the simple act of being happy, laughing, and enjoying things. But on the other side, we have what the author calls the basic setup. And the text claims that in society, the basic setup is literally that everybody is trained to be unhappy. Now, that is a massive claim. Unhappiness isn't just an accident, it's systemic training. We are conditioned, right from the ground up, to focus on those 1,001 negative things. We're conditioned to view joy as a great mistake. So your individual joy isn't just a fleeting emotion.
According to this framework, it's an active rebellion against the entire basic setup of a society that's been trained for misery.
Okay, so we've established the overwhelming odds the author presents here, right? We've got the 1001 reasons, the societal backlash, the intolerance of the unhappy, and this deep-seated training of the basic setup. I know, it sounds incredibly bleak. But wait, the text doesn't just leave us hanging there. Instead, it actually presents a solution to overcome all this societal conditioning, and it highlights this as the most important tip in this whole series. Everything we've discussed so far, that was just the groundwork. It was all leading up to understanding the absolute, vital necessity of this final instruction.
So, the crucial point is how you actually overcome this basic setup. How do you basically untrain yourself from systemic unhappiness? Well, the author gives us a really clear three-part directive. In order to overcome this training of unhappiness, you have to consciously, willingly decide to be blissful. You cannot fight those 1001 negative things passively. You cannot fight societal conditioning by accident. You have to consciously recognize the trap first. Then, you must willingly choose to fight it. And finally, you must decide, make a firm, unshakable commitment to be blissful. It brings us right back full circle to the beginning of the text, but now we have the full context of exactly what we're up against when we make that choice.
Based on the philosophy we've just unpacked together today, I really want to leave a question ringing in your ears. What will you consciously decide today? Are you going to let the basic setup run its course and just succumb to the 1001 reasons and the intolerance of society? Or will you recognize that your happiness isn't necessarily a byproduct of your environment, but a deliberate, maybe even a rebellious choice? The text makes its stance crystal clear. Joy doesn't just happen. It is forged through a willing decision. So I challenge you to look at your day ahead, recognize that training trying to pull you down, and decide if you want to make that great mistake. Choose to be blissful. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I absolutely cannot wait to dive into our next topic with you. Keep learning and keep deciding.